Donnie Wahlberg, he loves Boston and the men and women who protect his native city. He is the executive producer and narrator of Boston's Finest. It's a reality show about the heroics of Boston's police force.
Running around these streets, that was home. Dorchester now, this is where we grew up. Me and my brothers and sisters.
Like me doing police work, because police work is inherently dangerous.
Same pizza shop, same market, same stores. When I'm Wahlbergs and police, usually, we're usually on the opposite sides. As much trouble as they treated us like kids from the neighborhood who were worthy of respect.
Actor, producer, singer Donnie Wahlberg joins me live in New York. Donnie, I wish you were standing next to me here on Boylston Street. I tell you, it's a beautiful, beautiful Friday afternoon. Nice to have you on.
Thank you. I wish I was there with you, too. That's, ironically, the Old South Church, right where the first bomb went off, just outside of it, is where I studied theater in high school. And, Boylston Street, Newbury Street at this time of the year is the greatest place in the world. And if I wasn't working in New York, believe me, I would be there right now. I would give anything to be there right now in Boston. It's home, so.
Donnie, let me ask you this. I know that you were tweeting, as so many people were right after those bombs went off, making sure everyone, you knew who might have been along the finish line was A-OK. Is everyone okay, your loved ones?
Yeah, well, yes, my loved ones are great. My bandmate, Joe McIntyre, was running in the marathon, and I was on set shooting Blue Bloods at the time, and just the night before, Joe and I were talking, I said, how long is it going to take you to run the race? He said, I'm hoping for 4 hours. I said, yeah, probably 4:05 is my guess. So right around the 4:10 mark, I guess, in the race, everybody on the crew from Blue Bloods was sort of started tapping me saying, hey, something happened in Boston. Do you know about it? And I didn't know. I just thought it might have been a sewer explosion or something like that. I had no idea it would be a terrorist attack. But I immediately thought of Joe, and I said, wow, hopefully he made 4 hours, because I looked at my watch and I figured it's probably right around the time that I predicted he'd be finishing, and he had just crossed 5 minutes earlier. So he was okay, but unfortunately so many people were hurt and there were deaths, and it's just a horrific, horrific thing, and it's horrific to see our city and the people of Boston, in that situation. It's something that nobody could ever imagine such a scenario happening.
I tell you, though, Donnie Wahlberg, I've been here for 2 weeks. I was actually here the weekend before at a Red Sox game. I love this town. You Bostonians are a pretty tough, pretty resilient crowd, and especially, thinking of Boston's Finest, the show that you executive produce. I've talked to first responders. You know some of these guys. I was just sitting with them last night at a bar in Dorchester. I mean, this is a great group of men and women. Can you just talk to me about these people who you work with, and just really that they were the heroes last Monday?
Yeah, ironically, the last episode of Boston's Finest from season 1 aired Wednesday after the attacks, and everybody had been talking about the first responders and the men and women of the police department and how amazing they were. We knew and learned so much about them shooting the show. We go into the lives and on the job and off of the men and women of the Boston Police Department, which is the oldest police department in the United States, ironically. But we go into their lives and we learn so much about how courageous they are. They're everyday people like us. I mean, they grow up in the neighborhoods and just down the street, and they put their lives on the line every day to protect the streets they grew up in. But the amount of respect we gained for them shooting the show, was infinite. And now to see how they've responded and to see how they stepped up when the city needed them so much at a level they've never been to. We've seen other police commissioners in other cities, stepping up to the podium and dealing with this stuff and managing these crises. But to see Commissioner Davis, with the world's eyes on him, be so courageous and strong, and all the men and women. Bob Murner, for example, who's a veteran police officer, he's one of the featured guys in our show, and there he was, outside the home, and one of the first guys there to get this guy out of the boat in the backyard. Just amazing, and not surprising, though, because they are dedicated, professional, committed, and they really are the finest. They've done our city proud, and in a time when our city needed them more than anyone could ever dream.
Let me play, Donnie, just a clip of your show to show our viewers. This is an incredibly moving visual tribute to Boston's police force. This is from the show's season finale. Here you go. So Donnie, as we look at these images, how will you, if this is, a real show, Boston's Finest, how do you then incorporate and deal with the Boston bombings on the show?
Well, it's a very tough question to answer. I mean, at this point, we don't want to glorify anything that happened there. Our concern, as I'm sure the concern of TNT and the other executive producers and the Boston Police Department, is the care of the victims now. The part of getting the bad guys has been done, and now it's time to take care of the victims. So, anything that's going to glorify what happened, it's going to be very delicate to do. I think maybe something that's more likely for us to focus on is the preparation for next year's marathon, because nothing's going to stop that marathon from happening. Nothing's going to stop the city of Boston from rising up and coming together and celebrating that day next year, honoring the victims and celebrating the great history of our city. And the Boston Police Department's going to play a huge part in that. So I think that would be something we'd be more likely to focus on. It'd be impossible to not acknowledge what happened, but we don't want to glorify it and take advantage of it in that light. So we'll figure it out. It's going to be delicate.
Okay. Okay. And then finally, I can't talk to you without talking about New Kids on the Block. You've got a gig here in Boston in June. I imagine there will be a little something special for people here in Boston.
We're planning something special already for our concert, but we're also been talking to everyone back in Boston now about planning something special, a special event with a lot of other legendary Boston artists, and we're putting it together now, so it's a little early to talk about it, but something very special is going to be announced very soon to do in honor of the victims and to help raise money for them and their families.
If it wasn't for a little thing called the computer, we might still be making mixtapes. Find this, pause this, play this, eject this, write this. It's like the days before Esurance Express Lane. You had to find a bunch of documents just to get a car.